Hello and welcome back to the Leinster Listen. I'm your host Mick Linan and this is episode 65, the review of Ireland versus New Zealand in the Nations Championship. This episode's content today will be the Nations Championship match results, the overall opinion of the game, the analysis of the game events, and then a discussion point on the Nations Championship Southern Series team of the tournament. Alright folks, so the last round has finished and we have to put up with no more rugby until practically early August, well mid-August I guess, from when the women's Interpros starts up again. So there will be a lull of about 2 weeks roughly where you might not get an episode from me. Now just don't be too sad. I have something in the books here. I'm trying to get going, so stay with me for a bit. But if I have a break for a week, look, don't miss me too much. But there is something coming up, and kind of a spoiler alert, there is going to be a club interview if I can get them, going through all of the clubs of Leinster. So that'll kind of spill over a little bit impromptu during the women's Interpros, in that it might be a midweek episode, or it might keep the same cadence of the weekend episodes. But, you know, stay tuned. I'll keep more up to date with the Instagram and so forth. But if not, there will be a bit of a lull there for about 2 weeks until the women's Interpros starts up in early August. So you'll get the first one there. I believe it's the 8th of August. So you'll probably see Friday the 7th, or if they get a team sheet out earlier than that, maybe Thursday the 6th. But without further ado, let's go into the final round of the Southern Series Nations Championship match results. And we're starting off with the one that has pained me since it happened. Yes, indeed. The All Blacks beat us 40, Ireland 21. So yeah, we'll go into a lot more detail about that obviously in this episode. We'll go dive into exactly what went wrong and kind of what went right as well. But without that, let's keep going. So we also had Japan 15, France 42. Very dominant win there with France. It was actually in Tokyo. But, you know, look, it wasn't to be for the Japanese. They did try their best, but that French side has just been phenomenal. Fair play to them. Next up, we had Australia 57, Italy 10. That ended up a fierce beating there for Italy, and also ended up with a red card for a player that wasn't even playing on the sideline after a huge row erupted on the sidelines around the 65th minute. Next up, we had Fiji 17, Scotland 33. Fiji, now in fairness, the scoreboard there does not reflect how exciting that game was. Fiji were well in it. They were so close up until maybe the 70th minute. And then Scotland just put the foot down and ended up getting a flurry of tries there to get that scoreboard looking a lot less healthy for Fiji. Next up, we had a complete whitewash there. South Africa 43, Wales 0. Not the result they wanted. Being nullified by any team is embarrassing. Obviously, you'll take the caveat there that, you know, it is the reigning world champions, but Wales will not be impressed with that result. Ending up having 0 score on the board is not anything you'd want to see for any team, regardless. And then lastly, we had Argentina 24, England 31. And that probably was the wildest game of the weekend. And we're going to talk a little bit about that now before we go into the main event. So, yeah, as you know, Argentina 24, England 31. Now, it could have been a draw game, considering there was a try in the red at the very end that was ruled out by the TMO because the ball was put down on the cross section of the try line and the touch line. So it was a rule I didn't even know existed. But that's not the main story of that. There was 7 yellow cards. There was a penalty try, and obviously that last minute TMO that denied Argentina a draw. So that finale was absolutely pure theatre. It was absolutely crazy from the very beginning to the very end. England actually led 19-3 at half time. Freeman, Ben Earl there with a double and a scrum walkover try. Faye Waboso and Finn Smith ran in the show in the first 40. But Argentina absolutely roared back after the break there. You had Mateo Carrera scored from a maul. You had a penalty try. And you had Alex Coles getting yellow at the 55th minute, made it 17-19 with England down to 13 men. Absolutely crazy. Marcus Smith there and Faye Waboso's solo try stretched the lead to 31-17. But 4 more yellow cards, including one for the debutant Emmanuel Iogun, left England on 13 men for that closing stages, and it was very, very tense, mind you. Justin Piccaro actually scored a try in the 80th minute, gave a huge chance there because it brought the score to 31-24. And then Batista Del Goy dived into the corner in stoppage time. He was tackled by 2 men at the very end. Now, arguably, put my hands up, I do think both of them they slid up into the neck a little bit, which I thought might have constituted a penalty try, or at the very least a penalty. But it wasn't to be, and the TMO actually called it back, not for that, but for the fact that it was grounded on the sideline intersection. So absolutely crazy scenes there. Honestly, go back and watch the highlights of that game. It was crazy. England obviously surviving 3 continents in 3 weeks and finishing the summer series back-to-back wins. Now their discipline, as some pundit said, was marginally comical, and that was very, very fair, because it's going to follow them all the way to November when this series goes up to the Northern Hemisphere. And I don't think they're going to get away with half the stuff if they're going to keep going with those yellow cards. But nevertheless, if you look at the table, they end up above us after all. So it's a very strange one. But anyway, let's go through it. France have 12 points, top of the North after a bonus point win in Tokyo. They obviously have 2 wins and a loss. They lost to the All Blacks. You have Scotland with 11 points. In fairness, they probably deserve it. They got very close to beating South Africa. They got a bonus point comeback over Fiji at Murrayfield as well. So, fair play to them. Then we have England and Ireland obviously on 10 points apiece there. Ireland having 2 wins and a defeat, unfortunately. Maxim Hall coming from, Australia and Japan there, but very much humbled at Eden Park. We'll get into that. But 10 points there for England as well, with back-to-back wins over Fiji and Argentina after their absolute hammering in Ellis Park against South Africa. So then you have Wales on 5 points. Very lucky to even have points, I suppose, in that sense. 0 from 2 defeats, obviously, but they beat Fiji. And then you have Italy on 0 points, 3 defeats from 3. Very unfortunate for them. And as well, they got a headbutt red card in Wellington, so definitely didn't compound interest on that one. Southern Hemisphere there, you have South Africa on 15 points, 3 bonus point win. Very dominant, mostly in all the games they had. Maybe, you could probably say maybe not the Scotland game, but look, they ended up having a 2-try margin at the end, so, it would debate whether dominance is the thing there. New Zealand obviously with 15 points there as well, 3 from 3 at home. Their Eden Park fortress obviously extended that. 53 tests unbeaten in Eden Park, even though I did say we'd probably end up breaking that record. Got a little bit too cocky there, lads. It's probably my fault. Apologies. I didn't touch wood, so I jinxed it. That's my bad. You can blame me. Don't blame the players. Blame me. Australia there with 8 points. Schmidt's farewell win over Italy there in Perth. Great for him. Probably not the series result they would have wanted. I think they would have expected more. They probably are kicking themselves that they didn't win against Ireland with that final kick. So, really would put them way up there. Argentina with 6 points there. Japan with 4 and Fiji with 0 points. But coming back with a load of money to Fiji after filling out a load of stadiums in the Northern Hemisphere, which they decided to play there, probably because of money. So fair play to them. At least they're going back. Well, they are going back. Bags of money. But they are going back to Fiji with no points there, unfortunately. Quick maths there. I'm going to say that there's actually Northern Hemisphere 48 points and Southern Hemisphere also 48 points. So deadlocked after round 3, even though they're also deadlocked after round 2. So there you go. It's going to have to wait until the Northern Hemisphere games to come round to see which hemisphere is actually the best hemisphere. So yeah, let's see how that goes. I'm going to probably say the Northern Hemisphere because I am biased. Anyway, let's get into the main event here, obviously, which is our game. And to start off, as I always do, to bring myself into contention here, my prediction was in the last episode, Ireland 29, New Zealand 27. And as I always say, thank God I'm not a betting man, because the actual score was 40-21 to New Zealand. Yeah, what do I say about that? I got it catastrophically wrong, actually, in fairness. Probably couldn't have been any more wrong. I did think it was going to be a very close contest. I suppose it kind of was in ways. No, it wasn't. We were absolutely dominated. It wasn't a hope for us, really. We just played a little bit abysmal, and I will try to keep this as positive of a spin as possible. And I didn't even get the man of the match prediction right, obviously, because it would go to Damian McKenzie. But yeah, look, overall opinion there, I think we're a bit brutal. It was very, very error-strewn. Kind of sobering, really. I think it was, I went into that with a lot of hope, a lot of copium. I suppose it probably is the newest phrase of hand there. And then, New Zealand scored 6 tries. We scored 3. They led 28-7 at the break. You probably could have turned it off at that point. I was kind of thinking, sure, look, Ireland's a second half team. We've a good, strong bench. No, that didn't come into fruition, unfortunately. I think Farrell might be woefully disappointed in that result. I don't think it reflected anything in terms of our mostly, nearly full strength team. Obviously, missing some high profile players there, like Doris, Porter. I suppose Ryan Baird as well. He's been missing for a long time as well. Fantastic player, but yeah, look, not great. Even that McCloskey pass that just gifted Will Jordan. A try there. Even if you were to take that off, that 7 points, we still lost 33 points to 21. So even the margin there is way too large, even to say, okay, well, just chalk off that one. That didn't really count. Yeah, not great. But anyway, let's get into perhaps why we lost it. So going into the actual set pieces here, well, the scrums, right? Scrums were actually a weapon used by New Zealand. We could not slow them down. Their momentum in the set piece was just ridiculous. Ardy Surveyor's try came off of a 5 metre scrum. It's very hard to defend him anyway, but he picked it from the base and just powered through Ty Byrne, of all people, to make it 14-0 at the 22nd minute. Not great. Ardy Surveyor is a fantastic player. Obviously coming back there, deserves to be playing in the All Blacks. He's just a phenomenal player. It's just crazy how good he is. I think he's without a contract now. He's coming back from Japan, so there could be an argument that he does an old Barrett, Owane trip over to Leinster. Would I say no? Definitely not. But I don't know. I don't. The rumor mill is not coming for me. Do not start that from here. But it would be very funny if he decided to winter with Leinster, as they might call it nowadays. But yeah, look, Rennie obviously coming in there off the back of Scott Robertson being sacked, and he's done a fantastic job. 3 for 3. That is the perfect way to take over a team. End up with this Nations Series Championship, and you're 3 for 3, and a very dominant win over Ireland, who are arguably one of their largest, competitive teams to play. Very, very good. His remodel has obviously paid off there, and hats off to him. Very, very good. But in terms of the scrums, let's just talk about it a little bit more. Ireland's front row, we held up at times, but the scrum really wasn't the platform that Farrell needed. And, the lineouts coming into this was a pain point. We needed something to win, and that was supposed to be our scrums. And there's the old saying with rugby, you win the scrums, you win the game, and that was very much true for New Zealand. They really dominated us there. And, they got 69% possession in the first quarter there. That's not a stat you want to give New Zealand. They're obviously going to put away tries left, right and centre. So, yeah, look, scrums there, not great. I think we just have to reflect inward. You could argue that the fact that Porter has been missing, he's huge tenure, huge experience playing the New Zealand team. He probably knows how they click. He knows their system. So we're probably at a loss to begin with for that, but I don't know if you could use that as the perfect excuse for it. Over to the lineouts there, I might have given you a little spoiler in that. Another worry. I really thought perhaps it was I don't want to call it the second team, but the alternative team that played Japan, that was just a caveat of that. But no, it really just creaked in the same way. We just, we targeted the throw pretty well, but we lost the maul, which was not great. And that's not what you want to do. If you're going to go to that, don't lose them all. Go quick off the top if you have to. But it just didn't work. Aumua's try there at 39th minute came from a line out 10 metres out. We just weren't defending them properly. Love actually got that one from a 50-22. Fantastic player, mind you, Love. I didn't recognise him. I don't think I've seen him play. So huge that he's just come out of woodwork there and has done fantastic work at that 10. But yeah, the maul drove to the line. Hooker stretched out and got his arm in. Confirmed with the TMO after Berry initially missed it. So huge there for that. I think they just really drove us home. Now McCarthy did well, in fairness. Stole one of them, I think, but then they actually stole 2 of ours. So yeah, it's just, you'd imagine the fact that Danchi in the back for that game, he should have been a lot more clinical. We should have been lifting quicker as well. Not great, I suppose, in that sense. And for Farrell's kind of essentially full pack strength there, apart from Doris, we really should have done better. But Eden Park and the All Blacks just exposed us completely for that. So just unfortunately not great. I think we're going to have to work on that, compound on that coming up for the November series, and especially coming into the Six Nations, because that is going to be targeting that. Like every single team looking at that is going to target us now at the line out. We do not want that. We can't let anyone figure out the what do you call a Superman's what the hell is that called? Kryptonite. Oh my god, she's not going to be way too long. Yeah, what was I even talking about? Yeah, sorry, lineouts. Yeah, that is our kryptonite. We can't let France or England figure out that Ireland's kryptonite is the lineout. Please God, don't let that happen. So yeah, look, it's something we have to work on. I'm sure we do have a game plan there. Maybe you could argue that we just weren't set in place. A couple of players. Doris obviously missing out. He's huge for the captaincy there. Danchi, I'm not saying anything's wrong there, the captaincy in terms of him, but we do have to reflect inward, and that is something we have just done badly for quite a while now. And Leinster has also suffered. If you've been listening to me, waffle on for the whole season for Leinster, you would have noticed that the lineouts have been quite a pain point for us. And I think Munster have also suffered the same fate. So I think it's probably an Irish thing. I don't know if the game has just changed, if the lineouts have become more competitive. Personally, I haven't seen it, but we're missing something there. So that needs to be the ultra focus coming into the November series and for the World Cup as well. Especially when you're playing the likes of, we haven't played them yet, but South Africa, they will tear us apart in the lineout. 100%. They're so good for their lineouts. They're so good for the steals in the lineout as well. So we cannot let that happen. Now, defence, a little bit porous. Now, we didn't do too bad. It's probably one of the things I would say is probably something we done okay-ish at times. Now, obviously, you're getting 6 tries put behind you. You're not doing the best a job. But mostly, I think that was down to missed tackles, and we had 40 of them. 40 across 80 minutes. Like, that's... Jesus, that is a chronic stat there. I can't. There's no silver line I could really put on that. New Zealand had 10 line breaks to Ireland's 5. So, yeah, not great. Unfortunately, Gary Ringrose was an absolute mare of a time there. Spilled twice inside the open 5 minutes. And it wasn't great, The defence there, obviously, we were on the back foot there. McCloskey wanting to carry and threw a loose pass back. Gifted Will Jordan a try. All these kind of things. Balcoon there, he spilled it before Lov's 50-22 at the 39th minute. All those kind of... I suppose they kind of fall into discipline and ball handling, and it's something maybe defence is kind of too broad to say about it. Like, I thought when we did tackle and we did defend our 5 metre line, we did it well. But it's just, we were giving these lads too much space. The blitz defence worked up until it didn't. And then we didn't have a plan B. So it was like, what do we do? Now, in saying that, the second half defence tightened up an awful lot to limit the damage. But at that point, the damage had been done. I think you need to pivot when you're already down 2 tries or even 3 tries. You need to pivot to do something else. And that was the hole that was way too deep to cover. If we had not let them in as much in the first half, I think we might have been able to clamber back to a good bit more. Obviously, we put, it was 28-7 at half time. We ended up much closer than that by the end of it. But as I said in the preview, if we let them in for too many tries in the first half, that's it. It's game over. And that's exactly how it played out. So, very unfortunate there. It was something I don't know. Is it the blitz defence? Like, Leinster's been doing it for ages. I've talked about the defence not really working for Leinster. Are we just tied to this blitz defence? Is there another way around it? New Zealand did not let us in. They had 2 to 3 men for every man that was running towards them. There has to be something to be said for just maybe taking a leaf out of the Southern Hemisphere book and going with it. But yeah, sorry, I can't really... Like, it wasn't... It was probably the 50-50 call there in terms of defence. A decent second half, an absolute piss poor first half. So, yeah, take it with a pinch of salt there. The attack... Again, first half, just we looked so... like soft in the first half. It didn't look like we had any gumption at all. It was just anonymous really coming into the attack in the first half. James Ryan obviously spilled one very close there, 5 metres down. We had huge momentum going there. Now, I will give it to James Ryan. It wasn't the best pass from Gibson Park. He kind of had to bend down toward his knees for it. But online, obviously, they tore him apart for fumbling that. So I won't blame him. The man is, 6'5" or something? Him bending down to his knees to pick up a ball that's been passed from at speed. He's not going to be able to get that. But Conan was absolutely fantastic. Burst through Aumua and De Groot at the 33 minute there. That was probably the best first half moment. Like, of all the New Zealand tries, that one was probably the best one. He absolutely flattened the two lads, get through them. And obviously Gibson Park was very fast with the hands up to that. As well as that, Prendergast converted 3 out of 4. His kicking game was actually very decent, a very good strategy for the attack. Some of the kicks that he was doing, the high balls for catching, didn't go either. They either went too deep or were way too shallow for any of us to kind of compete with it. And we probably didn't utilise Balcoon enough for that, because he's very good at those high, or just in the air, I suppose. But yeah, like I think Prendergast did well. I think him and Keenan had a very good game in terms of attack structure. So they played the game right. Just defence really let us down, obviously. But then we just, we couldn't find another score. And, Leonard Brown then sealed it at the 79th minute with Jordan's offload. And that kind of killed our attack. That was the end of it. So just no point going any further than that. McCarthy obviously drove over from a line out. That was very good. That was like within 4 minutes of the second half starting. And that was a little flicker of belief for us. And I was like, oh, here we go. We're starting. But then that Will Jordan try just took the absolute run out of it altogether. It just was not great. So I think after that, I was like, oh, look, it's game over. But yeah, sorry, I'm trying to keep a positive spin on it. It was very hard. Very, very tough to have a positive spin on it. As well as that, I was just after coming off a 2-day bender at a wedding, so that was not the result I needed waking up early in the morning to watch. But let's go into some notable players there. And, Sam Prendergast, I think, actually had a decent game. Obviously, as I said, 3 conversions from 3 attempts. As the only Irish player probably who didn't contribute to the quite large error count that we did have. He did that floated wide pass for Keenan's 63rd minute try as well, which was very good, and nailed the conversion for that one. So that was the final score, 35-21 for that one. But look, I think Farrell coming out of this series is probably thinking, you know what, Sam, you've done a fairly decent job at this. He has probably proved his case an awful lot more than Six Nations. The Six Nations was a disaster for him, and I'm glad that he got the opportunity to come out of these big games and actually show what he's worth. And I think it is after bringing a new conversation into when Crowley comes back. The kicking is the main event for a 10. You have to have your kicking down, and he has shown that very well. You had the likes of Frawley coming on and missing an absolute sitter of a kick. So all these things kind of compound onto Sam being a very good option for the 10. And look, we're in a good place. I think Sam is coming into his own. He's filling out. He's after getting quite broad. He's obviously going to the gym non-stop. He's probably been locked in it by Andy Farrell with just a bucket of creatine beside him for his snack. But it's good to see. It's good to see. And he's a notable player for me from that game. Another notable player there is Hugo Keenan. He had the try there at 63rd minute. He had a full-back duel there with McKenzie. Definitely his counterpart played way better, but at least he finished the summer tour with a try in Auckland, and he did better than the 2022 Eden Park visit. So I think all in all, he played his position well. He didn't really stand out too much. Obviously got his try himself, but in terms of overall players, I think Hugo Keenan definitely was one of them that had to get a notable mention there. And then lastly, Jack Conan. Jack Conan had a very decent game. Very, very good. He carried hard. He always had the front foot with the ball. And he's one of our best there, in fairness. And, I think he rested on Sheehan's shoulders there in terms of the captaincy. He really led from the back row. And it's what you want. It's exactly what you need. And he's always come out of these games at 110%. I've never seen a game where Jack Conan wasn't given 110%. And that was one of the games he definitely did give it. So I'm delighted that he actually had it. I think when he had the ball, it gave us a little flair of, okay, here we go, we can do this. But unfortunately, the handling errors and some of the silly mistakes just really let us down. But yeah, referee there was Nick Berry. Yeah, nothing too crazy. There was one crazy one. Actually, probably two. No, I'm going to say two. It's a big controversy. I'm not going to give out about him too much. Actually, not going to give out about him at all. I'm just going to say two of the calls I think went differently where I saw them. The Jacobson yellow there, it stayed a yellow. Now, I know the TMO has the option to increase that. I do think he could have given a red for that. Now, they said that James Ryan, as he was standing up, pinned his arm, and that caused it to fly up and have the tucked elbow hit on Van der Fleer. I think that was utter, pardon my French, bollocks. He flew in from the side, mind you, right? So he wasn't even coming over the ruck. He flew in, dived towards Van der Fleer, took the arm and burst him in the face. So honestly, that is high degree danger. He was coming in at speed. He knew what he was doing. And I'll tell you why I know. Because Farrell declined to comment on a post-match. So if a coach is going to decline to comment about something, he thinks the same. I think they should review that post-match. And if they increase that, I wouldn't be surprised. It was reckless. I don't know what he was thinking. There was absolutely no need to do it because at that point, what was going to happen? We had the ball anyway, and he just flew in absolutely recklessly. So honestly, I think that was an outright red. I will stand behind that. I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill, lads. And then there was another one, which the TMO didn't even check it once, but it was either the first or the second try. I'm nearly sure it was held up. There was a hand underneath it the entire time, and in all camera angles, it looked like it was held up. And it was never checked. Okay, sorry, I say never checked. It was never audibly told to be checked by Nick Berry. Maybe the TMO, obviously we can't hear the TMO talking in the referee's ear. He always is. But I do think they should have at least looked at it from a couple of angles and shown everyone in the stadium that it was grounded from where the TMO could see it. Because honestly, I know he flew over it, but there was two lads underneath him and it looked like it was held from the very beginning to the end. But anyway, apart from that, look, he let the game flow. Obviously, you can only do so much as a referee. It was a very physical game. Two huge teams playing against each other. And it was a very, well-flowing game. There wasn't a huge amount of stoppage. So, fair play to Nick Berry. I'm not a huge fan of those two calls, but that's not anything against him in terms of being a referee. In a line, New Zealand hammered us. That's it. What else do you want me to say? Alright folks, going into the match events there. So the 14th minute there was a try for New Zealand. Patrick Tuipulotu, patient build up in the 22 and he made ground there. And that was put over by Ruben Love, brought to score New Zealand 7, Ireland 0. 22nd minute then, another try from New Zealand, Ardy Savea. Captain there picked up the base of a 5 metre scrum, powered through Byrne to get his try for himself. Converted successfully by Ruben Love, brought to score New Zealand 14, Ireland 0. 28th minute then we yellow card for New Zealand, Luke Jacobson, as I just talked about, the flying elbow, as I'll call it. 33 minute then we had a try for Ireland, and it was none other than Jack Conan, line out inside the New Zealand 22, one of the lineouts that actually worked well for us, and he crashed over there. Fantastic try, converted successfully by Sam Prendergast, brought to score New Zealand 14, Ireland 7. 35th minute then, just to take the just to take the heat out of us there, Will Jordan was gifted a try by McCloskey's loose pass, which bounced into no man's land, and he ran through to get it. That was successfully converted by Ruben Love, brought to score Ireland 7, New Zealand 21. 39th minute then, another try for New Zealand, Asafo Aumua. It was Love's 50-22 after Balcoon had spilled the ball there, and a line out 10 metres out meant that the maul would be driven over the line, and Aumua stretched out and got the try for himself. That was also successfully converted by Ruben Love and brought the score to 28, New Zealand 28, Ireland 7. That was the half-time score. 44th minute then, a try for Ireland, Big Joe McCarthy. 4 minutes in, like in true Leinster fashion, as we normally do. Very early tries, we love them. But yeah, he struck it immediately after the break. Ryan took the ball off the top of line out, and it was just close range carries. McCarthy drove over behind the post. Perfect. That was successfully converted by Sam Prendergast, brought to score New Zealand 28, Ireland 14. 56th minute then, try for New Zealand. Damian McKenzie, a huge player for New Zealand there, and that was successfully converted by Ruben Love as well. Brought to score New Zealand 35, Ireland 14. 63rd minute then, try for Ireland, Hugo Keenan. And this is, I suppose, when the forwards absolutely battered the line very deep into their New Zealand 22, and Prendergast floated a very wide pass out to the left wing, and Keenan collected that to get his try. Successfully converted also by Sam Prendergast, brought to score New Zealand 35, Ireland 21. And then lastly, 79th minute, try for New Zealand, Anton Leonard-Brown. Very patient phase play inside the Irish 22, and Jordan rode a tackle on the left wing and produced a stunning offload to send Leonard-Brown over the line. That was missed, actually, that conversion by himself, or by Damian McKenzie. Brought to score New Zealand 40, Ireland 21. Man of the match there was Damian McKenzie, and he deserved it in an outstanding display at full back, with it obviously a try for himself, and commanded the whole organisation in that back three. So he absolutely deserved it. He actually was quoted there saying, "I'm loving the way we're playing, we're just getting started. Please stop." Please stop. But no, they deserve it, lads. Fantastic by them. They've really shown the All Blacks prowess in Eden Park, and they hold the record still. Alright folks, discussion point, and good. Look, obviously this episode's delayed to today. I was actually waiting for this to come out, and it came out quite late today, so I apologise for that. But I was waiting for the team of the tournament, in quotes, so far, obviously, because we have to do the rest of it. But after round 3, the Southern Series 15 was built up, and I'm going to go through them today. So just to kind of give you an overview of who was picked out. So there's 4 Springboks, 2 Frenchmen, 2 Kiwis, 2 Scots, 2 Englishmen, and then 1 from Argentina, Ireland and Australia. Really not dominating the pack there, unfortunately. But let's go through them. So the backs there, so you had 15, Mathieu Jalibert, and obviously he shifted from 10 to 15 when Ntamak returned. So he got onto that because he got most metres in the Southern Series and second most carries, so fair play to him. 14 there is Will Jordan for New Zealand. Makes sense. 6 tries, top scorer of the tournament. He got his 50th test try as well against Italy, so he's probably the easiest pick of all of them there to be number 14. 13 was Jesse Creel, South Africa. Fantastic. I think he got a try in every round, so fair play to him. 12 there is Sayan Tuipolatu for Scotland, and he, you know him as the captain. Very good captain, in fairness to him. He led the front there in Argentina. Huge game in Argentina, actually, massive. And obviously against Fiji as well. Yeah, I think that was probably a wash there, but it was a good game, in fairness. 11 there was Curtly Ahrens, also South Africa. Played 2 tests, a try in each of them as well against England and Wales, and he had a very good 2 games for them. And number 10 there is Ruben Love. Now New Zealand, obviously breakout star, fly half. Rennie backed him, obviously came through, done a fantastic job. And then number 9 there was Maxime Lucu for France. So he had a total of 37 points. Top scorer in the tournament so far. And Dupont's injury obviously opened the door for Lucu. But, Lucu is a fantastic player. You would have seen him. Bordeaux Bagel there as well. So all these things play up, massive. But look, move over to the forwards there, the big lads, the big guns. Number 1 there is Ellis Gend for England. Yeah, I think it was always really going to give him to him. He's a fantastic player over these couple of series. Number 2 there is Malcolm Marks for South Africa. World Rugby Player of the Year. Makes sense. He got his try against England there, and he had complete set piece dominance as well. So huge. Xander Fagerson there as number 3 for Scotland. I think maybe he deserves it. I think probably a bit harsh to our props now, to be fair, but anyway. Well, I won't divulge. 4 is Josh Canham for Australia, so obviously one of the only Australians named on the team. 4 tries, fairly decent. Hat-trick in Perth. Obviously send off Schmidt there, so he deserves that as well. Number 5 is Peter Steph Dutoit for South Africa. Yeah, South Africa are obviously dominating this team as well as New Zealand, so in fairness, it makes sense. And then he had 6, the man himself, Jack Conan, the only Irishman in the 15, obviously. But look, he had a fantastic series. I think he deserves that place 100%. Number 7, Henry Pollock. Number 8, sorry. Sorry. Number 7, Henry Pollock, hat-trick. Yeah. He also had that, thing he did in the bus. So I think he should probably lose his place for that because it was so cringe. So if you haven't seen it, look up Henry Pollock bus. And it'll probably say wanker after. Anyway, number 8, Joaquin Oviedo, Argentina anyway. Huge carries, I think, honestly. He fantastic in all the games he's played. He's a demolition man. End of. But yeah, look, unfortunate really for Ireland. I don't really debate it much. Like, obviously we had that huge 9 changes to the team going against Japan, so maybe that stood against a lot of the players to end up on that team. A lot of them didn't even play the 3 tests, so probably didn't help. But yeah, Conan deserves it. A very fair call there. Leinster number 8 are doing absolute business, man, in all these games. And he played a fantastic game in Eden Park, as I said. So he definitely deserves it there. But I guess, like, who missed out, I suppose? Rinosuke Ito. Hopefully I got his name right. But the Japanese 10 there. He was fantastic. 21-year-old, Meiji University. Like, I honestly think he should have been there. I understand that, like, you have to come against Ruben Love. Ruben Love has had fantastic kicks. Like, he didn't even miss one in all the kicks he done for against Ireland. So yeah, fantastic player. I just think Rinosuke Ito, he's coming up against it really. He's a debutant as well. So I would have thought they might have put him in there. Obviously they got snubbed a bit. Hugo Keenan as well. He's the official man of the match in Sydney. Try save and tackle there as well in that same game. So I think maybe Hugo Keenan, like, obviously you're coming up against Matthew Gallagher. Yeah, I suppose in terms of that, you're not really. It's kind of tough there. And then Artie Sevilla. Well, I suppose Artie Sevilla's only really come back, but you got to try against Ireland as well. So yeah, I know it's a good team. In fairness, it's very hard to say where these ones are going wrong. I do think the one I would have probably said is Ruben Love probably wouldn't have been there, and Ito would have taken that. The props, Ellis Genge definitely. Xander Ferguson, I don't know. Probably being a bit biased, I suppose. I would have probably put one of the Irish lads there. But yeah, look, it is what it is. It's a very dominant team. Obviously, all of those have played a fairly decent series. Maybe I haven't watched all of the Scottish games in the same fashion as I would have for the Irish games or New Zealand games or the South African games. So maybe Xander Ferguson actually was a standout player there. But yeah, fair enough. Now, I will say, I do want to. They didn't do it right, but I do think they should have done a debutant of the season. Now, maybe they did, I just didn't see it. But I'm going to give my debutant of the season, and it's actually a flip of the coin here. You're going to call me biased. Actually, you can't call me biased because he's from Connacht, right? So we're going to start off. Well, technically he's from New Zealand, but he plays for Connacht. I'm giving a bit of a spoiler there, but it's Sean Jansen. I think, honestly, if they were to name a debutant of the season, and you could argue that he might actually be on that team, that 15. I know he didn't play enough. Like, he didn't come on against New Zealand in Eden Park, which was a shame, really. But I do think he should have been named as a debutant of the season. And if not him, I think Aaron Grandidier Inkenang for France. I actually thought he was a winger, right? And he's actually a centre. Now, in fairness, very, very fast centre if you watch him play. So you'll probably forgive me for the mix-up there, but he was an absolute catalyst in round 2 for the comeback. Absolutely huge there. So I'd say between those two, maybe Ito as well for Japan, those 3. But I think, no, the 2 there are the standout. Sean Jansen and Aaron Grandidier Inkenang. Just fantastic. Do I have a coin to flip? No, I don't. I'll go heads. Sean Jansen. No, but I just think if you were to pick one, it would be him. And if not, let me know who you think the debutant of the season was. There's a number of them. I think there's about 7 in total. I know Ireland played at least 4. Actually, probably more than 7. There's probably about 9 then, if that's the case. So if it's not one of those 2, or if it is one of those 2, let me know in the comments. Let me know who, if I'm absolutely madly wrong and it's someone else completely. But honestly, I think Sean Jansen has just had a fantastic start to his his season as in the green shirt, not as in the deeper green shirt, not the, or is it the lighter green shirt? It's a lighter green shirt, yeah. In the big green shirt. But yeah, let me know what you think. Alright folks, that is her. The Ireland, the Nations Championship summer is over, and we wait eagerly until November when we continue it in the Northern Hemisphere. But look, as I said before, we have in the 8th of August we have the women's Interpros coming up, so I'll be covering all them games and hopefully be going to the one against Connacht in Donnybrook Park. So if you haven't already, the tickets are available, I think either tomorrow or the next day. Get them in. They're very cheap, folks. Bring the kids. It's a fantastic day out. Going over to the Energia Park is great crack. So, and actually, a little bit of a tidbit of information. The last time I was there, I caught a ball that was kicked out for a line out, and everyone cheered. And that did happen, right? It's probably somewhere in the tapes. So, I hope. But anyway, folks, there might be a bit of a lull, as I said. I might take next weekend off. Who knows? I'm doing this long time now, just ever since November. Such a long time. But no, folks, again, it's probably I suppose, is this the end of the first season? If so, thank you so much for listening. You've been absolutely fantastic. Made loads of friends along the way. Loads of really good listeners. You're always keeping me smiling cheek to cheek. And look, watch this space. I have something coming up, hopefully, in the next 2 weeks and for the following on into this next season. But as always, thanks for listening.